it's all the more great.
Right. Okay, we are live now. So, Namaste, General Ian Cardozo. Good
Namaste,
evening.
Jerry.
Good
Namaste.
evening, and welcome to the InspireX conversation that you would be having for the next 45 minutes or so with Itu Chopra. And this is a very, very dear conversation for me, which I'm going to be listening in with even more intent, because you're not only our Karmavir Chakra, Karmavir Puraskar, and Karmavir Maharatna Award recipient and Rex Karmavir Global Fellow, but also a fellow Xavierite. And I cannot keep talking about this, that how honored I was that I shared the stage with you for the closing ceremony of the sesquicentennial talk, which happened last year.
Yeah,
Because I said, if there's somebody who I really look up to, it is General Ian Cardozo. We've known each other for many years now, from the time when you were with RCI, and then as our Karmavir Award recipient for the past few
Priscilla?
past few years. Yes.
Some
Yeah,
disturbance.
your video has, don't worry. Yeah.
It's coming. Luana is coming. Who? Luana.
Decline.
Mrs. Priscilla Cardozo is General's tech person.
Right.
Always,
So
yeah.
you will have to bear with us, the audience
Yeah.
who's listening.
Yeah. This is also a very, very important conversation series for me as well, for various reasons, because General Cardozo and one of our family members are from the same Gorkha regiment.
Very
And
nice. Excellent.
Yeah, from
Good.
5 year. And
Right.
I have known his legendary stories and heard them for years, because that's what everyone in the army talks about him. And I remember about 10 years back when we were in a family gathering, and my husband told him, haven't you met him till now? And go and sit down and talk to him so that you can inspire yourself and know a lot of stories from him. So I remember that evening we spent a lot of time sitting down together with General and Mrs. Cardozo and having long conversation.
Right. Excellent.
Yeah, yeah. And of
So,
course,
so Nishant, are you there? I hope General Cardozo has not joined in again.
Not yet, sir.
Okay. Okay. Right.
And
So
there's
yeah,
some-
so like I was saying, he's also our school alumni and one of our Xavierites, and a lot of people from Xavier's would be joining in because they want to listen in to him. So he's a hero for all of us at Xavier's also, and for the people in the Indian Army, of course.
Yes. I have heard a lot from you
So,
thereafter, and
I'll call you for the problem. I'll call you to the problem.
yeah.
so welcome back. So it is.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Yes, General Cardozo, welcome back. So it's good to see all the people in the audience seeing the lion of the battlefield at the mercy of his lioness. Okay, so with that, I'm going to hand you over to Itu, and I'm going to be a fly on the wall for the next few minutes. I'll be there, but listening in, but I won't be on video or on audio. I will join you in the last 15 minutes to provoke some thought-provoking insights for the audience and for you to share about how we need probably some reforms in the Indian Armed Forces, etc. Thank you. See you later.
See you later.
Thanks, Jerry. Namaste, General Cardozo, and Jai Hind.
Jai Hind, you too.
So good to see you. And today is the first time we are sitting like this, and I'm having a conversation with you. I've had hordes and hordes of conversations with you over the last few years that I have known you informally, and every time it's been an inspirational conversation with you and knowing you, and also Mrs. Priscilla Cardozo, because her ever smiling face and warm, soft speech is something I always look up to.
Thank you.
I am going to take you back, and I'm straight away diving into questions because we have 1 hour, which is too short to have conversation.
1 hour is a long time.
No, it's too short. We have too many things to talk. and too many things to converse about. So, but I'm straight away diving into conversation, and I'm going to be going back to your school and NDA cadet days. You know, throughout your life, you've had this very prominent, brightest color of conviction, resilience, and giving your best to whatever you did. Tell us about that, and let's go back into your school and cadet days.
Uh, Looking back, Itu, uh, I think it all started with family and carried on through school and
Right.
then the NDA. When I was in school, I was 10 years old. I normally came amongst the first five in class, but that particular year, I didn't do well at all. I was probably more interested in games. And my dad called me and said, son, we are sending you to school to be educated. And I don't think that this is what is your best. So, what is your problem? So I said, no problem, Dad. I just probably didn't do enough. So he said, son, whatever you do, be the best. School is fine, games are fine, but studies are also important. Whether you're playing games or you're studying, you must do your best and aim to be at the top. This carried on in class, in school. My teachers told the same thing. And when I went to the academy, I was at the top of most of my subjects, but I was poor in Hindi and maths. And my div officer told me, he said, son, you have only one life to live, and you must live it to the full. You can come out to the right to the top if you sort out your Hindi and maths. You are good in many subjects, and there are others who are not good in those subjects. So if you, there's a principle of war called cooperation. And if you could help others, they will help you. And that worked. So that is what it is about, doing your best. And then many years later, I'd come to Delhi to collect my Sena medal for gallantry, and I met Sam Manekshaw. Sam is from my regiment.
Right.
Sorry, I'm from his regiment. And he said, I asked him for some advice. And that has remained with me throughout my years. Of course, it wasn't there in school or in the
Right.
NDA, but later on. And
Right.
he said, do what you love. And he said, I presume you wanted to join the army, so I'm sure you're doing what you love. But love what you do. And that
Right.
means you've got to be the best. And being the best means if you are doing some study, you should go to the library, you should go to the internet, you should know more than your teacher. So you really got to work hard. And then he said, never be afraid, there'll be problems, and never give up. So this is what happened. And going back to the NDA, I had to fight the boxing captain who was a killer. He was Golden Gloves champion of Bangalore before he joined the academy.
Right.
And we had the hockey finals on the same day, and my squadron commander didn't want me to fight, but I said, I can't walk away from this. And I got the thrashing of my life. And many years later, the army chief Padmanabhan met my son, who was also in the army, and he said he saw he was a G3 in the brigade, junior most officer in the brigade headquarters.
Yeah.
And he said, Cardozo, are you any relation to General Cardozo? He said, yes, sir. Who is he to you? He's my dad, sir. Then he said, did your dad tell you about the thrashing he got in the NDA? So he said, no, sir. He said, ask him. I said,
Right.
sir. And then he also said, I was the junior most cadet at that time, sitting on the floor of the workshop, watching your dad getting thrashed. But I still remember the way Each time he got knocked down, he got up and he never gave up. And I still remember I was very, very impressed and motivated by the way he fought. So it's not only doing your best, but it's also never to give up. There will be plenty of problems in one's life, but one has to believe in oneself and the system, and I think you come out on top.
Yeah.
I hope I've
You
answered your question.
Yeah, no, you also held the record for 55 years of the silver and the gold medal at NDA, uh, which went on for 55 years. Nobody could break that record.
Yeah, I didn't. I had no idea I was going to get
Yeah,
these. I wasn't aiming to get any medal. I was just doing my best. And I think the
right.
message is that to everyone who's listening is that uh, one should not aspire to get any particular honor or award or anything like that. One should not work for those reasons. One should aim to do one's best
True.
and not to harm anyone else, to cooperate with everybody, be happy, do one's best, and if God willing, you will get what you deserve.
Absolutely. And, you talk the language of Rex Karamveer, and we talk about, doing your best. You can be flawed, you can be imperfect, but learning to learn and always being able to work on your imperfections to better them is the way forward. And then giving in your best. And I think you're the most legendary example of giving your best with all your best into whatever you do.
I think you're giving me more credit than I deserve, you to, in the sense that it's a combination, I think, of opportunity and talent. Many people have talent but don't have the opportunity.
Yeah.
Some people have the opportunity and don't have the talent. Some people have lots of talent, but they don't care. So I think basically it's the average person, the ordinary person who has some amount of talent and some amount of opportunity, who gives of his best, and sometimes he gets more than he deserves. Like me. I don't know whether I deserved it, but I got it.
You always say like that. But Jan Cardozo, we at Rex Karavir also talk about one fact, and we've researched and done a school program and all of these. Is that it's your character that takes you forward. It's not your competence, because if you have this character of working hard, and when you're broken and when you're vulnerable, from there you can unleash your heroic potential, and all of that is within you. So that's another inspiration that one gets from your life and various incidents that happen through and through in your life.
Thank you.
I'm going to move on to your battalion, your regiment, your 55 GR, and Gurkha regiments are known for their valor, bravery, and all of that. And I would like you to take me through to that part of your, you know, they say in the army that your battalion grooms you, and it's your home, first home sort of a thing. So tell us about that, and also tell us about the 1971 war and the anecdote and the incident about that war when you stepped on the landmine, and what happened thereafter. I'd like to hear from you.
So E2, I was not in 5.5. I was commissioned in first 5,
Okay,
and
first one.
I fought the 65 war and the 71 war with 4.5. Now, for those who do not understand this, a regiment is like a family, and it has many sons. My regiment has 6 sons. That is first 5, second 5, third 5, 4.5, 5.5, and 6.5. So I was commissioned in the first 5th, which is a really, really great battalion. It has 4 Victoria Crosses, any amount of Mahavir Chakras and Vir Chakras, and the largest number of battle honors. It is one of the best. It is at one time the best regiment, best battalion in the British Empire.
Right.
And now today it is the best battalion in a particular division on the border.
Right.
So I was groomed there, and grooming doesn't mean soft stuff. We learn the hard way. we, we are taught that you need to put country first, and that the most important word in our dictionary of an army officer is love. Now, love may not be a very military word, but it is on the altar of love that men and women in uniform put their lives in the line of fire and sometimes have to make the ultimate sacrifice in the line of battle. And what is this love all about? It's love for India, it's love for the people of India, it's love for the regiment, it's love for the soldiers. And we were also taught that as an officer, you don't tell your men to go forward when you're coming. You just say, follow me. And there, the young officer, whether it was in 47 or 62 or 65 or 71 or Kargil, it is the young officer who is at the head of his troops, facing the maximum danger. And the Indian soldier, the Indian Jawan, the best soldier in the world, performs excellently because he knows that his young leader is out there in front and they have to support him. In the 1971 war, my battalion, the 4th, 5th, we entered the war with 18 officers. And in a 14-day war, we lost 4 officers killed and 7 officers wounded. So in 14 days, we just had 7 officers who were unscathed.
Right.
So that is the amount of sacrifice and the commitment and dedication that officers and Jawans have. In the 1965 war, I was commanding a company, and I saw, actually, frankly speaking, more action in 1965 than I saw in 71. Because in 65, I was a company commander. And there is no appointment in the whole world, in any army in the world, which is better than the company commander's appointment, because you're not only a commander, but you are very close to the troops. No one can be closer to the troops than a company commander.
True.
And my company went into attack again and again, and I lost my company twice. I lost my platoon commanders, I lost my NCOs. And it was a very trying time because I'd grown up with them, they had grown up with me, we were very, very close. And I don't know, people can never understand probably what a terrible situation it is when people you have grown up with and loved and trained and been together are lying mangled, their mangled bodies are lying in front of you. But that is what happened in 1965. And in 1971, I was in Staff College when the war broke out, and I was told the course was closed earlier, and we were told to join our battalions. And I joined my battalion. It took a long time because the aircraft courier was cancelled because the war had started. And when, to cut a long story short, when I landed at the battlefield of Sylhet in the chopper, my Johnnies, Gurkha soldiers are called Johnnies. So they went from chopper to chopper looking out for me. And when they finally found me, in the middle of the battle, there was artillery shelling and there was MMGs and mortar shelling and all going on. The trees were on fire. But the Johnny Gurkha was just looking for me. They found me, and in the middle of the battle, they put me on their shoulders and started dancing and saying, Kartu Saab Hoi Ki Haina, Kartu Saab Hoi Ki Haina. So there's a war on, put me down. I go to meet the commanding officer. But that is what it is. Gurkhas are fearless, they're loving, they're wonderful troops, the best troops in the world.
Yes.
And that is how I was introduced to the Battle of Sylhet. The Battle of Sylhet is a long story. I'll tell it to you in the shortest possible time. And that is that the battalion had fought 2 ferocious battles. We had fought the Battle of Atgram. It is the last kukri attack in modern military history. We had to capture an objective. Normally, the ratio is 3:1. That time it was 1:1. But the CO, a very brave officer, Lieutenant Colonel Arun Harulekar, decided that we will use surprise. We will use we will launch a silent attack at night. We will catch the enemy on an approach that he least expects. We waded through half a kilometer of marsh and water, and we surprised the enemy. And that moonlight night, we used the kukri with abandon, and we decimated those boys, the Pakistanis, and captured the objective. And lots of heads rolled that night. One particular Jawan, Dil Bahadur Chetri, cut off 6 heads. After that, because the trouble with doing a good job is that when you do a good job, you're made to do more and more.
Yeah.
So then when another battalion had failed to capture a place called Ghazipur, the battalion was the co-commander, Sakat Singh, who was one of the best field commanders the Indian Army has ever produced, said, send in 4 or 5. So we went in and we captured Ghazipur, but we lost the second in command, and 4 more officers got wounded, badly wounded. So now, from a strength of 18 officers, we now were left with 11. And we had about nearly 137 casualties, the men. So the CO asked for a few days' time to reorganize the companies, and we were just moving to a forested area to do the reorganization when the co-commander said, I've just got information that Sylhet has been vacated by the brigade. 202 Pakistani Brigade has vacated Sylhet. And I want Sylhet to be occupied immediately. And I want the Gurkhas to do the job. So my brigade commander, who knew that the battalion was trying to reorganize itself, said, sir, I've given them 4 days to reorganize. He said, cancel that order, tell them to go immediately. I cannot wait. So the order was cancelled. We were sent to a place called Kalaimura, and we put on these helicopters and we landed at Sylhet. The information that the battalion, the brigade which is holding, Pakistani brigade holding Sylhet had left, and we were told that just there are about 200 irregular soldiers called Rasagars, which were holding Sylhet, and that there was no problem. My commanding officer said, I don't believe that, sir, and in any case, when will I be reinforced? Now, the teaching is that if a battalion is paradropped or heli-bound behind enemy lines, it has to be reinforced within 48 hours. So, we were not reinforced for 9 days and 9 nights. We had no food, we had no water, because the enemy had not left Sylhet, and we did not know it. So there was a brigade there, and the ratio now is we were 1 to their 6. We were 384 and they were over 3,000. What we did not know was that the brigade, which was supposed to be going to Dhaka, was not 202, it is 313. And that brigade, instead of going to Dhaka, joined at Sylhet. So now there were 2 brigades and the Sylhet garrison, which was nearly a division birth strength, that is nearly 9,000 troops, and we were still 384. Luckily, we did not know. And we fought them. We dominated no man's land. We sent out patrols. We ambushed their convoys. We cut off heads. And strangely enough, it was the British Broadcasting Corporation which came to our rescue. The BBC, the government of India did a very good thing. They allowed foreign correspondents to accompany our troops into battle. So the world got unbiased information as to what was happening. But this particular correspondent probably got mixed up between the strength of a brigade and the strength of a battalion. Strength of a brigade is 3,000 and a battalion is about 750. 832 actually. So he said in his, on the 9th of December, the 2 days that had passed, that a brigade of Gurkhas has landed at Sylhet, whereas we were just half a battalion. So we were listening, and so was the enemy. And that put caution to the enemy, and they probably felt that, and also they knew that this was the same brigade which had decimated them at Atkaram and Ghazipur.
Right.
So they were very careful. And finally, we had no food, no water, and we were being bombarded with enemy artillery. MI room is the organization which gives us medical facilities. There's a
Right.
doctor, and we've got about 18 stretcher bearers, and the enemy artillery had destroyed the MI room, so there was now no medicine left. There was no instruments. The wounded were just lying around outside. They were asking for water. There was no water to give them. So we were in a bad state. But we were helped by the Indian Air Force. The Indian Air Force did a magnificent job, not only in landing us there, but in evacuating our casualties, because it's not good for morale to have 30, 40 of the men dead and wounded. And anyway, so when they came and evacuated the casualties, the enemy got the impression that we were being reinforced.
Right.
That made them more cautious. And finally, on the 9th day, or the 15th of December, a whole lot of them came by waving white flags, and they were wanting to surrender. By this time, surrender options were being given by the enemy all over East Pakistan. We did not know it.
Right.
But the CO, knowing how few we were, and he's seeing the large amount of people, he said, tell them we have got no orders to surrender, accept any surrender, go back and continue the fight. So they said, no, 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 we want to surrender. If the CO doesn't want to accept our surrender, can we talk to the brigade commander? Then we realized that our bluff had worked, and they thought that we were a brigade. So we told them that these are the brigade commander's orders.
Right.
However, we will ask for orders from the higher headquarters. You come tomorrow at the same time. And we got on the radio and spoke to the brigade commander and said, for God's sake, sir, come and take the surrender tomorrow.
Right.
So he came in a chopper. And the Pakistani brigade commander met our senior brigade commander, met our brigade commander. And he said, Janab, who has come in this chopper? So he said, I have come. Why? He said, but aren't you here? He said, no. Then he said, where are you? He said, I'm 100 miles away. Then he said, then what is here? He said, it's only a battalion, and that too, half a battalion. There was much murmuring amongst the ranks. They couldn't believe that half a battalion had held them for 9 days and 9 nights. So they got the shock of their lives. And then we got the shock of our lives when 3 brigadiers, 2 full colonels, 173 officers, 290 JSUs, and 8,000 troops surrendered to our battalion.
Wonder.
That's the Battle of Sylhet, which is, it's a great story.
Yes, it is.
It signifies what Sam said. Do what you love what you do.
Yeah.
Never be afraid, never give up.
Absolutely. So brilliant to hear it from you, because I have heard these stories in bits and pieces, maybe from my family, and I know there are people in the same Gurkhas from my family, and you friends with them. I've heard from them, and I've heard from you also, very bits of it in last few years.
Yes, your brother-in-law also lost a leg in battle.
Yes, he also lost his. Yes, Brigadier. Yes. So what I was trying to get to this is that, the one thing that comes out is the faith and the trust that the men have in their officer, and the faith and the love and the trust that the officer has in his men. That's the power of love that you've talked about.
Yeah. That's true.
Also, and from everybody I have known in the army or in the forces, what everyone talks of is the best time of their lives is when they are with the troops, when they are with the men, because the men teach them what no officers institute or no organization nowhere is taught in the army, because men groom the young officers in a lot of ways.
Yeah, when I joined the battalion, I was put under the care of a JCO, a junior commissioned officer. He was Naib Subadar Bhakta Bahadur Gurung, IDSM, a wonderful guy. And he taught me my regimental history, he taught me my customs, he taught me my traditions, he taught me my regimental history, he taught me tactics. And he was like sort of a godfather to me, although he was a JCO.
Right.
And in the battalion, I think in many regiments, when we joined the men.
Right.
We are treated like a soldier. For the first month, you do a soldier's duty, you do exactly what he does, so that when you become an officer later, the company commander, or platoon commander, or battalion commander, you know exactly what the men have to do and what they go through. So that's how it is in the army.
Yeah. So, General Cardozo, you talk about fitness of the mind. Fitness of the body is the fitness of the mind. And I want you to talk about, how did you get that courage to like chop off your leg when you stepped on the line? Because everybody else around you said we can't do it. And tell me about that, because there's this tenacity of mind over body that must have led you to do what you did. And that's a legendary story.
I always say that I've given more credit than I'm due for that action, because I spoke about what happened in 1965. I lost my men, and it was terrible seeing their bodies, heads blown off, cuts hanging out. And I thought when I lost the leg, it was not such a great deal, it was a big issue. I was lucky. And the leg was in a mess. But as I told you earlier, the MI room had been destroyed. There were no medicines. There was nothing to cut off the leg. So I told the RMO, the regimental medical officer, I said, Doctor, can you get something to cut this off? So he said, sir, I have nothing. I'll go and find out. So it took a long time. After about half an hour, I told my batman, Bal Bahadur, I said, Bal Bahadur, Dr. Saab has not come. Where is my cookery? So he said, here it is, Saab. I said, cut this off. He said, Saab, Nepali, Dr. Saab, like, intezar karno. Wait for the Dr. Saab to come. I said, no, he's taken a long time. Let's cut it off. He said, Saab, mo kar no sakte na. Means I cannot do it. So I said, okay, give it to me. So I chopped it off. It was in a bad state. I knew it couldn't be saved. I said, go and bury it. Poor chap, he had to go and bury it. The doc came back and he said, sir, what have you done? Your leg is in a mess, your bones. I said, Doc, no lectures, please. Just tie it up, for God's sake. And no lectures. So poor chap, he tied it up. And I apologized to the CEO. I said, I'm sorry, sir, this has happened. And by this time, the enemy had surrendered. So I said, sir, get me a chopper and get me out of here, because they get me to an Indian Army military hospital. Right. So he said, okay. And he tried very hard. But Dhaka had fallen. And the choppers were carrying all the VIPs for the surrender. So I was the major at that time, and there was no chopper for Major Cardozo. So I said, sir, please try again. He tried and he said, Ian, now don't be a stupid fool. The brigade commander, Pakistani brigade commander, has heard what has happened, and there's a military hospital here. It's a big garrison. And they've offered to operate on you. So I said, okay, sir, but on two conditions. So he said, Ian, you are in no situation to lay down any conditions. So I said, okay, sir, then I have two requests. He said, what are they? I said, firstly, I'll not take Pakistani blood. He said, Ian, don't be a fool. Gangrene will set in and you will die. I said, sir, I'm prepared to die a fool, but not live with Pakistani blood.
Okay.
So he said, okay, what's the next request? I said, wherever they operate on me, sir, will you please be there? I don't want them to cut off my good leg. So he said, okay. After that, I don't remember. I don't know. My mind is a blank. I remember being taken to the hospital. I remember a Pakistani Jawan being offloaded from his bed, and I was put on that bed. And we had not taken any blankets it was winter, but rather than take blankets and food and water, I didn't tell you the whole story. We said, the CEO decided that we need to take more ammunition and grenades instead of all this. So it was very cold. So a Javan's blanket was put on me, and after that, I don't remember anything. Till I remember being evacuated by a chopper 2 days later to an Indian airfield, and after that, I started going through a whole line of hospitals till I finally reached the Artificial Limb Center at Pune.
Pune. And it took a really long time. I know that till Mrs. Cardozo could join you, and she was told from the battlefield that he's fine but injured, and she was like,
No. Poor thing.
yeah,
The army has the army sends telegrams to families, and most army wives dread to receive that telegram because it starts with the word regret to inform you. So now they kept on. I was in each hospital I went from one to another. Each one sent a telegram to say, regret to inform you, husband has been wounded and evacuated to so and so hospital. But they didn't tell her exactly what had happened to me. So she had no idea whether I was wounded in the head or in the abdomen or in my leg, and she was kept in suspense for over a month.
Yes. So, General Cardozo, I'm going to move on to the fact that, the fitness over, the fitness of the mind to say that, you ran the BPT and 7 officers, able officers were left behind and you went forward. What is this willpower and this resilience and the grit that you have, which has played its role over and over again in your life? I'd also like you to tell the full form of BPT to everyone. I'm thoroughly enjoying the army conversation today, hearing all those words after a really long time.
Yeah, the BPT is the Battle Physical Efficiency Test.
Yes.
Now, I'm not that I'm being boastful or anything, but I had passed out pretty high in the order of merit of my course. Yes. And here was I now, a battle casualty in hospital with no clear policy as to what would be done to us. The government of India and the state governments offered a lot of concessions, and it appeared that the government was wanting us to leave. They did not want to have a large number of battle casualties continuing to serve in the army, where that would cause lots of problems. And army headquarters also, I think that was their policy.
Right.
So I was pretty unhappy about the fact that we took part in this war. We took part in so many battles. We did what we are supposed to do. We were the progenitors of this great victory. And now that the war was won, we are told that, we don't need you anymore. And it'll be better if you leave. Yeah. But to leave, we had to follow the route of being invalided out, which means that you are no longer of any use to the army. And I said, I refuse to believe that. I had read the story of Douglas Bader. Douglas Bader was an RAF pilot who lost both legs and who fought World War II without both legs and became an air ace. He shot down 23 German aircraft. I said, if he can do that, why can't I? So it was not so much of, it was, I don't know, determination. It was, I was very annoyed. And here was it, I was challenged. I mean, there was a challenge and I was told that, no, we don't have any time for you. If you stay, you will only be posted on the staff. And there were only 2 officers, only 2 since World War II who had reached the rank of a brigadier. And I thought that was very unfair and not acceptable. So I decided to fight the system. And I had no idea what I would do. But while I was in army headquarters, I was told that there's going to be a physical proficiency test and it'll be at the National Stadium. So I went there. Now everybody else was in PT kit, that is shorts and shirts and PT shoes and socks. But because I had a wooden leg, I wore trousers, a white trouser, and I can't run in PT shoes with a wooden leg, so I had boots. So
With
the
your
officer conducted the test, said, why are you dressed in trousers and boots? I said, I lost a leg. So he said, you can't take part. You are low medical category. I said, well, the circular didn't say that. So he said, no, I had last year a person died at my hands who was low medical category, and I don't want you to die. I said, don't worry, sir, I'm not going to die. So then, anyway, to cut a long story short, I don't think there's enough time. So I said, I convinced him that I could take part, and in the 2 mile run, I left 7 officers behind me, and he was very, very impressed. And he was a good man, good officer, a colonel. He put his arm around me and said, well done, son. And he wrote a nice report about me and to say that this officer is the battle casualty, he lost a leg, and yet he left 7 officers behind him in the 2 mile run and sent it to army headquarters. That report helped in a way because the director of military operations where I was posted said, is this true? I said, yes, sir. So he said, don't you want to command a battalion? I said, yes, I do. So he said, but what's stopping you? I said, the policy doesn't allow me. He said, you apply and I'll support you. So to cut a long story short, he supported me and the vice chief, I came under him. We went to J&K, I climbed some mountains and he was very astonished when he landed in a chopper, saw me on top of the post. And he said, how you come here? I said, I climbed. He said, you could climb. I said, sir, what I can't do lies in the minds of my senior officers. So he said, don't be cheeky. And we went back and he took my report, BPT report to the vice chief. And he said, sir, this boy can run, he can climb, he can walk. Why should we stop him from command of a battalion? So the chief, General Raina, he said, send him with me to Ladakh. So I went to Ladakh and I walked over snow and ice. And chief said, all right, give him a battalion. And other war wounded officers were not taking shelter of their wounds. And at that time, chiefs didn't have to run to the bureaucracy for orders. He just said, give him a battalion. And I got a battalion. That was how I got a battalion.
Yeah. And in the Langar Gup and in the parlance of Gurkha regiment, you were called the Kartu Sab. That's a name lovingly given to you, and you actually proved to the potent potential of Kartus. You could walk 150 miles in the desert, you could swim 40 kilometers, you could run BPT, you could do all of that. These are these little love I would call them stories of love between the men and the officers that keep you going, isn't it?
That's true. I asked to be given command of 4 or 5 Gurkhas, but there was no vacancy, so I was sent to first 5, the battalion in which I was commissioned.
Right.
And I've been away from them for 17 years with 4 or 5,
Right.
fighting the 65 war and the 71 war and staff college, etc., etc. So when I went back to first 5, nobody knew me. And I reached there at night with 2 bottles of scotch. And I said, I've come back. But they weren't very pleased. They probably felt that this guy who's got 1 leg has come to command the battalion and he'll probably be a passenger. He'll be a burden on the battalion. We'll have to carry him. So I didn't quite like that. And just before breaking off after dinner, I said, what's the program for tomorrow? And they said, we're going on a 40-kilometer route march, sir. And there's a jeep for you. So I was taken aback. By this time, to prepare to join the unit, I've been running 6 to 7 kilometers a day. And here I was being told 40 kilometers in sand, in desert.
Yeah.
So I digested that and I told myself, Ian, you've been boasting about how good battle casualties are and you're better than people with 2 legs. And now there's this test which has come to you on your first day in the unit. And are you going to sit in that jeep or are you going to march? So I said, I can never command this battalion if I sit in that jeep. Whether I fail or I pass this test, I have to take it on. So next morning when I was given the report that the battalion is ready to march, I said, fine, I'll march. He said, no, sir, you come in the jeep. I said, son, who's commanding this battalion, you or me? He said, you, sir. I said, all right, give me a guide, give me a map, give me a compass, and let's go. And to cut a long story short, I was averaging about 4 kilometers an hour. It took me 10 hours to do that 40 kilometers. But in that 10 hours, I realized that I could march 40 kilometers. And therefore, after this, nothing can stop me. And when I
Absolutely.
reached the end, I called the adjutant, gave me the report and said the battalion ready to march off. I said, get the officers here.
Hmm.
I told the company commanders, I said, gentlemen, if you think you've tested me, forget it. I've tested myself. From
Right.
now onwards, you will come up to my standards of physical fitness, or I won't spare you. And I said, I would, 4-5 would have given me a very warm welcome.
Hmm.
You don't seem to be happy that I'm here, but that's
Right.
immaterial. I know more about this battalion that you could ever know.
Yeah.
And I will demand from you all
Hmm.
that you have to make this the best battalion of the Indian Army. And we did
Hmm.
that. So actually, all this comes to a saying by a person called Desmond Hayde, Brigadier Desmond Hayde, who won a Mahavir Chakra uh, in the Battle of Dogra. And he said, he was my platoon commander in the NDA, and he said, battles are won or lost in the mind before
Absolutely.
they are won or lost on the ground. And that is what has helped me throughout my life, Battle of Sylhet, battle all through. And in the aftermath of the war, where we were sort of consigned to the dustbin and we proved that we were as good, if not better than people. And out of, I was the guinea pig, but many responded, and 3 officers who had lost their limbs in battle became army commanders.
Yeah.
So after that, there's been no looking back, and the army
Hmm.
policy now allows battle casualties to command units and brigades and divisions, etc. And I think that is the great. I have particular joy in feeling that I was the guy who started it all
Yeah.
and made the army headquarters change its policy and prove that battle casualties should be given the opportunity to show their talent.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you talk about this mind over body because your mind is so strong that the body takes on from thereafter. And
Yes.
General Cardozo, I'm going to go into the fact that you're an avid reader and you've written several books on heroes in the army, like the Paramveer are heroes in the battle, the bravest of the brave, the Indian Army World War One, Survivor's Storm, the sinking of the INS Kukri, and many many more. Share with us something about your books, and I also would like to, tell everyone that you have done your postgraduate studies from DU, and you would go in the evening on your scooter to attend your classes after the office hours in the evening.
How did you do all that?
Cardozo, I have known you for long, and so tell me about all that. And I also know that you are going to very soon publish your poetry. So maybe we could recite a little bit of that as well here and tell me about your books that
No,
you
no.
told me yesterday about the poetry.
Uh, when I was a young boy, I always wanted to write.
Yeah.
But the army doesn't look kindly on people who write.
Yeah.
They feel that these
Yeah.
are dreamers. We want
Yeah.
men of action. We don't want people who
Right.
are going to write stories. And
Yeah.
so, unless you write on matters concerning tactics and strategy, etc., the army looks not very kindly on people who want to write.
Yes.
So I postponed my writing till I retired.
Yeah.
And but writing doesn't mean you're going to be published. So
True.
I wrote and wrote, and nobody published, except of
Hmm.
course small articles here and there.
Hmm.
And then finally one day, Pramod Kapoor, who owns Rolly Books, spoke
Hmm.
to Satish Nambiar, who was the Lieutenant General Satish Nambiar, who was the director of the United Services Institution. And he said, I want somebody to write a book on Paramveer will you do it? So he said, no, I don't have the time, but I can recommend to you Ian Cardozo, he'll do a good job.
Hmm.
So that's how the book dropped into my lap. And I researched the book for 2 years and I wrote it, and it's a bestseller. It has
Yes.
been printed now 14 times. So once you write one book, it's followed by another and another. So a lot of books came my way. And I also decided one day, the first page of the Paramveer is a poem. It's a poem to the unknown soldier.
Hmm.
The unknown soldiers, there are many soldiers today in the army who give their all to the army, but they are not recognized.
Yes.
So, although the Paramveer is the highest, Chakra is the highest award given for bravery, there are
Hmm.
many who are deserving of it, but nobody has seen them, what they've done, and nobody knows what they've done. And
Right.
I think, I strongly feel that they need to be honored. And behind India Gate and the National War Memorial, there is a chabutra, a canopy, which at one time housed the statue of King George V. The statue has been removed and the canopy is empty.
Right.
And every country in the world, whether it is the UK, the USA, Australia, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, they all honor the unknown soldier, but we don't.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I started two campaigns. One is the campaign for the unknown soldier to be housed in that canopy, and the other is that we need to have a flower of remembrance for people who have given up their lives for the country.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I've written a poem on that, and that's gone viral. It's been
Hmm.
put to music by Vanita Singh, the wife of an ambassador, and it's also been recited by a chap called Pradeep Chatterjee. And I've written a number of poems, 10 of them. But I'm waiting to, nobody wants to publish poetry. But Vanita has just given me some addresses and said that no, there are some people who are prepared to publish poetry. So I want to write a few more poems before I can publish. But I don't
Hmm.
remember them to recite them off the cuff.
Never mind. But I look forward to reading them, and I know that people don't publish poetry easily.
Yeah.
Because I write poetry and haven't had the courage to even talk about publishing about it. Because
Okay.
I have been told by a few publishing houses that we don't publish poetry. What are you trying to do? Just write for fun and that's it. But I'm
That's
sure
what
your
I'm.
poetry is something that the world would like to read. And I'm going to come back to Mrs. Cardozo because, tell us about, this gracious, ever smiling, soft spoken Mrs. Priscilla Cardozo. And we all in the army know that there is a support system behind the families and the wives of these officers who do this gallant work and are always in the forefront of every good, everybody sees them. uh, there's this huge role that the families and the wives play. Tell me about that.
Yeah, that's very true. Itu, the strength of every officer and Jawan is the family who backs him. And Priscilla is no exception. Uh, she's the best thing that has ever happened to me. And when we were engaged before the 65 war, and she wrote me very, very supportive and encouraging letters to do my best for the country and for my regiment, etc., etc. And that has continued. I have served out of my 39 years in uniform, 18 years have been in operational areas. That is partly because I opted for operational areas because I wanted my sons to continue to be educated in a good school.
Hmm.
So she has brought up the boys. I
Yeah.
have three sons, Sunit, Arun, and Vikram. The eldest has followed me into the army. The second is a
Yes.
surgeon in the UK. The third is in Singapore in the corporate world. But
Yeah.
the great thing about all these three fellows is that they are, although I say it myself as a father, they are very good human beings. And I think that is what is the ultimate.
Absolutely.
So it is only due to her because I was never there. She brought them up. She was a very strict mom, but she
Right.
joined them in everything that they did.
Right.
And my son's friends used to call her hard rock mom because she used to join them in their music, in their games. She was
Hmm.
very, very youthful in attitude, behavior.
Hmm.
And when I was chief of staff in Tezpur, I was in the swimming pool. I'd gone to the swimming pool. I had not yet reached the swimming pool. A Havaldar came to me and said, Saab, your sons and your daughter are waiting for you. I said,
Hmm.
I don't have a daughter. He said, but she's there. So Priscilla had a good laugh because
Hmm.
it was her. But
Hmm.
she is very youthful, not only in her attitude, but also in her appearance. Of course,
Hmm.
now gray hair has replaced all that was black earlier. But she is my support. She has supported me in everything I've done. And like every other good army officer's wife, mother, she has been my solid support right through. I couldn't have done what I did without her support. There is a saying in the
Yeah.
army that
Yes.
behind every successful man, there's a very surprised woman.
Yes.
So, so that is how it is. She is
Yeah.
a wonderful girl, in the evening of our lives, we are now just alone, the two of us, very
Yeah.
happy with each other.
So, General Cardozo, there's so many questions to ask you, but I want to, last thing that I want to ask you is that, what's your take on the civil disasters that happen around the country and the army is called in? And what about the respect and the disrespect that the army goes through the hands when the civilian world sees it? Because,
One of the prime motivators of what we do for our country, and the fact that officers and jawans are prepared to lay
right,
down their lives for the country, is not
yeah,
only what is the country. The country is a amorphous sort of a abstract thing. It's the people of India. We
true,
do what we do for the people of India because that's what the country is.
right,
And I don't agree that we have any disrespect. As far as the people of India are concerned, there is
hmm,
just no problem. They love us and we love them. And what we
hmm,
do is for them. And
right,
they want us to solve all their problems, whether it is floods or fire or any disaster. Even when a child falls into a bore well, they call the army.
yeah,
And we go willingly because that's what life is all about. We
right,
are prepared to do anything for the people of
the,
India. The
yeah,
problem is not with the people of India. The
yeah,
problem is with the bureaucracy. The
absolutely,
bureaucracy hate the army. I
yeah,
say this with full conviction
hmm,
because when I was giving a talk at the Lal Bahadur Shastri Academy at Missouri,
hmm, hmm,
there were 300 probationers there and they were out of this world. They were the best young boys and girls I've ever seen anywhere. And
hmm,
at the final uh, day in the auditorium, I told them that you can make this country the best country in the world, not the most powerful country, but the best country in the world. Which means not only will we be good, not
hmm,
only will we be powerful, but we will be happy.
hmm,
And I said, but there seems to be a problem with you guys when you go and occupy your chair, because then you are only interested in pleasing your politician.
right,
The country doesn't come into your frame. So
right,
please think about country, and we are not in competition with you. You do
yeah,
your job, but let us do ours. When we
yeah,
go into battle, we don't want we are facing the enemy in front of us. We don't want an enemy behind us. And then I
absolutely,
turned around to the person who was sitting next to me.
hmm,
He was IFS officer and ambassador to a foreign country earlier.
hmm,
He had retired. And I
hmm,
said, sir, what is this all about? It looks as though you hate us.
hmm,
His reply was astonishing, but it was true. He
hmm,
said, General, don't you know? We hate you. We've always
yeah,
hated you.
yeah,
So that's what the situation is. And
it is,
because of this, the present situation where China has ringed us with this ring of pearls, etc. What were the bureaucrats doing? Instead of looking at what they ought to do, they were trying to push us down.
Yeah.
So it's not the country or the people who are not happy with us. It is the bureaucracy for reasons of their own selfish interest.
Yeah. Yeah, and this point is debatable because on a lot of facets of even the the pension and a whole lot of other aspects, it's the bureaucracy which is put a spoke for the men in uniform.
That's true.
Yeah, and I'm glad
They
you
have
raised.
the bureaucracy has convinced the politician
Yes.
that if the army is not put down, they will take over the country.
Yeah,
This is a
which is so
preposterous
true.
lie, and
Absolutely.
a lie told often enough, people begin to believe it. But
Yeah,
this is what it is all about.
yeah. It's shameful and it's surprising. I have no words to say because this alone topic can be debated for hours. But on this note, I'm going to call Jerry back into the conversation and take this conversation with you forward with Jerry.
Okay.
Thank you. It was wonderful, wonderful.
Thank you, Itu.
Yeah.
God bless you.
Namaste, sir. Namaste once again.
Hi, Jerry. I hope I've not
Hi, good
eaten into
evening.
your. I hope I've not eaten into your
Not at
festive
all, not
times.
at all, not at all. Nothing to eat into it. The whole idea is to have a nice conversation. A lot of people are listening in and enjoying it. I must tell you, Kama, I just got a small note, a Word document, which came in today from Vice Admiral Koshiva.
Ah, okay, okay.
Hello.
Yeah.
We can hear
And
you.
he sent me something, but we will come to that later. I shared it with everybody in the school group and in the
Okay,
alma mater La Peace group,
okay.
because it's a very nice note that he sent. And but before going there, I completely agree with you, and the idea is to kind of just unpack some insights that you shared. I think, like you said, the country is a inanimate body.
Yeah,
It's just a mass of land and borders which have been created by wily politicians and bureaucrats, right?
yeah.
But a country or the world is made up of human beings and living beings, and that's what brings a country to life.
That's right.
And I think we the people of the country of India love people from the army, most soldiers from the army. I won't say all. Some of the soldiers who come on television today are despicable and appalling. So I can't say that we love all soldiers, but you're absolutely right. We love most of the soldiers from the army. And I always say this, that in this country, a country called India, whether it's a man-made disaster or a national disaster, you can't rely on corporates. You can't rely on businesses. You surely can't rely on politicians. Mr. Modi has proven that now with the way he handled the entire pandemic lockdown. You can't rely on the bureaucrats, surely. But whether it's man made disasters or natural disasters, the only one institution that you can depend on is the Indian Army. Any
Armed
insights on
forces,
that?
Jerry. Armed forces, Jerry, because the Air Force also does a great job. The Navy also does a great job because.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I say army because it's more terrestrial. Of course,
Yeah.
all
You're
the
right.
armed forces are equally magnanimous and heroic, and they do a lot of work. And it's all about working in cohesiveness with each other. And I think that's what the Indian armed forces do. That said, sir, in the past, every community, every sector has a few bad apples always. And as the old saying goes, one rotten apple spoils the basket. And a few bad apples could actually spoil the entire thing for any community. And in the past few years, I think, and this is my feeling, not just on my thought process and my insights, but this is after speaking to several people from the army, people from the Navy, people from the Indian Air Force, all good friends. And I can't name any of them, but they share with all candor and with all integrity and with all courage of conviction. and I won't name any of them, but many of them feel that the entire credibility and the integrity of the armed forces, especially the army, was compromised by Bipin Rawat, General Bipin Rawat, and now right now is the Defense Staff Chief. Do you want to share any insights on that? It's a question.
Uh, Jerry, I it's difficult for me to speak about the head of the armed forces, but this much I will tell you.
Sure, sure.
Uh, when uh,
Yes.
when General Rawat tried to withdraw the income tax concessions on battle casualties, I took up the challenge and I was on many TV shows. And to cut a long story short, the ministry had said that this is going to be withdrawn. But after I spoke uh, on TV on Barka Dutt's program, the whole India was listening and it was discussed in Parliament. And finally, I managed to get that. Not I suppose I contributed in a way to get that rolled back. Then
Right.
uh,
Right.
I went to the UK and I got my son told me that the chief is trying to contact you. So I said, tell him I'm abroad. So he said, he told them, then he said, he's written you a
Right.
letter,
Right.
a 4-page letter. So I said, they can send it to UK. They said, no, when are you coming back? So I said, 2nd of September. So when I came
Right.
back, the letter came. And he tried to defend himself as to the army, the battle casualties were taking the system for a ride. I said, no, that is not true.
Right. Right.
There are
Right.
a few, as
Right.
you were saying very rightly, there are a few bad apples who have misused the system. You
Right.
need to have the ability to punish them than punishing the whole lot of us. Don't throw away the baby with the bathwater.
Right.
And I then, in my last couple of paragraphs, I wrote
Right.
to him in my own hand, so I didn't want it to go to anybody else. And I handed it over to him personally when he came to visit the USI. And I said,
Right.
the whole army and the army officers' wives and children are looking up to you as the father of the father of the family. And I'm sorry to say,
Right.
we are extremely
Right.
disappointed of what you are doing. Please think it over
Right.
and do something about it. I didn't get a reply. But
Right.
what you say, unfortunately, I think I endorse. I don't want to say it myself.
Thank you for that, because I mean, that is okay, because I appreciate where you're coming from, but that's the reason, if you noticed, and I have huge respect. My wife's family, my father-in-law is from the Punjab regiment. I wanted to be an army man myself. I just missed joining the short service commission because of age. So I have huge respect for the Indian armed forces, and more so for the army. uh, and you must have realized that I said Bipin Rawat first and I added general as an afterthought. uh, so I mean, the your title doesn't get you respect, and I think everybody who's listening in should know that you can be the prime minister of a country or the president of a country. Your title and position doesn't get you respect. It's your actions, it's your karma, it's your deeds which get you the respect from people. And otherwise, what one thinks as respect is just the hierarchy and the commanding order. So I think that is a great insight to share. And I asked you this because there are several people from the army, from the air force, and from the navy who are Rex Karmavir Global Fellows and Karmavir Award recipients. And with some of them, I share thoughts and insights about what I feel, and some of them come across very candidly. The other thing I wanted to ask you is, you said rightly that all battles are fought in the mind, right? And you've been in the army, then you served in the NGO sector as the chair of the Rehabilitation Council of India. And you being you, uh, and I say this fondly, but what I'm going to say next is not going to be uh, music to the ears. You being you, because you are fearless, you are honest, you have high integrity. So I'm sure that you won't allow anyone to do any hanky panky. And there are few people like you in the system now. We have a few of them in our Karmovir Awards, like James Michael Lingdo, who was the former Chief Election Commissioner of India. Not only honest, but also fearless. There are many bureaucrats who are honest, but what they lack is the fearlessness and the courage of conviction. Then there's Sridharan, who was also very honest, who is also very honest and also very fearless. But then, when you work in systems like the RCI and things like that, NGOs and people who can't do hanky panky, for them, you become a pain. What are your thoughts and insights on this?
See, the how did I enter this whole business about the RCI? I got a call
Right,
from a chap called Pulok Chatterjee. Pulok Chatterjee was the
right,
secretary to PS to the Prime Minister. And he said the Prime
right,
Minister wants you to accept this job. So I said, why
right,
me? There are people better than me. So he said, no, no. It's a yes or no answer. So I said, I have to speak to my minister. So he
right.
said, which minister? I said, my wife. So he said, okay, he laughed and said, I said, okay.
Okay.
What he didn't tell me was that this was the only job, the one and only job in the country which was equated to a secretary government of India. There's nothing higher than that, which was unpaid. But
Right,
as an army officer,
right,
I didn't have, I couldn't ask what would be my salary. After I signed, I was told that there's no salary.
right,
Now, I could have left
right,
after 2 years, but I was told by everyone that whatever you have done so far, nobody has done earlier.
right,
Please don't go. So, although I was
right,
offered a job by Helpage,
right,
I gave it to somebody else. I stayed on. The Like you said,
right,
the army is in need of reform. There is no institution which is not in need of reform. There are bad apples everywhere, including NGOs.
right,
So my only
right.
satisfaction was that I sorted them out, and
Yes,
some
I,
didn't
I know
like
I
it,
know of that. Yeah.
and some didn't like it, but just too bad. I worked for nine
Right,
years without a single
right,
naya paisa,
right,
and as a chairman who was not getting a salary, I should have been entitled to a sitting fee for every conference I chaired. Even that,
right,
the ministry was vindictive enough to not allow. But that's okay. Money is not anything. I never joined
right,
the army for money. And
right.
I don't know. I can't say I did a good job. That people have to say whether I was good enough or bad enough. But I was
I,
satisfied. I did my
I,
bit.
I, I, I didn't know you so well at that time, but I knew of you and I met you in a couple of those conferences that you chaired without any fees. And I remember the bad apples, because the NGO sector has more bad apples than good apples. And all the bad apples used to keep, begrudging that, they couldn't do any hanky panky and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah,
And I would
yeah.
make
That's
sure
true.
that guys like you are weeded out. So I'm happy that you did that yeoman service for the entire RCI and the disability sector.
Thank
Are you
you.
with me, sir?
Thank you, Jerry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So great. So the other thing I wanted to ask you was, what inspired you to join the army? We've spoken about what you've done while you were in the army, but what inspired you to join the army and not pursue a career in the corporates or in the UN or some foreign service and stuff like that?
Two things. Firstly, going back to St. Xavier's,
Yes.
Sunit Rodrigues was a couple of years senior to
Right.
me, and he joined the first JSW, the first
Right. I
course,
know.
and he came back. He was a boxing blue,
Right.
and he came back such a self-assured
Right.
young man that I felt that if this change
Right.
could take place in Sunit, then that's the place for me. And secondly, I felt that I couldn't think of a job where I went to the same place in the same transport every day of my life with no question of change or adventure.
Right.
And I think the armed forces is the only profession in the world which pays you to play games, to climb mountains, to swim, to go underwater, to do skydiving, to do anything you like.
Right.
So I said, that's the place I want to be. That's why I
Right.
joined the army.
Right. Right. Excellent. So I was very keen to know about that because, I mean, a lot of people join the army because they want to do something for the state, for the nation, and kind of dedicate their life to that.
Yeah,
I
that
was
came later on. That came
let
later on.
yeah, and I was invited to the OTA in Lucknow in 2015, and I didn't accept it at first stance because it doesn't pay you anything, but the whole idea was to do leadership coaching for officers from the all the armed forces. This is at the OT in Lucknow. And one of the things, while when I first engaged with them, I told them is that we should probably change the way we position the ads of why to join the army and the short service commission, from just a good management course to something inspiring. And one of the ideas I gave them is that we should profile and mainstream stories of superheroes like you, so that more people are inspired to join the army because they want to do something with passion and dedication.
That's true.
Yes. And my final question before we wind up is this note which I received from Vice Admiral Kosheva, Pradeep Kosheva. It is dated 15th October 2019. The note is dated that, but it's about incident from 1989 when he was when he became the director training at the NDA, and he
Huh.
talks about the honor code for cadets
Okay.
and how he was impressed by a note which you had written more than 30 years ago in 1956.
I
Okay,
was
and
just 19 then, 19 years old.
I know, and you were the academy cadet captain.
Huh.
And he said that the note he wrote was remarkable, not just for the sheer quality of the noting penned by cadet captain Ian Cardozo. It was not just the power of expression, command of the language, or even writing skill that were impressive. What he was more impressed by is the maturity of outlook, clarity of thought, and logic of arguments of the 19-year-old. So I would like to know more. What did you write? Because this would be very important as a honor code. Because in the Rex Karmavir Global Fellowship system, we always say it is not your talent and competence that takes you places and beyond. It is your character, your principles that take you places and beyond. So I have a feeling that you must have written something which was very principled. So I would like you to share that if you can remember it.
Uh, Jerry, it's a long time ago. I don't remember what I wrote, but I know what I felt.
The essence, the ethos.
Yeah. The issue was that the National Defense Academy
Right,
had instituted the honor code
right,
based on what is done at West Point in America, United
right,
States of America.
right,
And in that, they said that if somebody does something wrong, he should own up. And if he doesn't own up, then his colleagues should report on him.
right.
I felt that was sneaking.
Absolutely. I
And I
completely
felt,
agree with you.
and
That's
I
the
felt,
American way, not the Indian way.
yeah. So I felt two things. I said, number one, that this is sneaking and it doesn't lead to team spirit and it's not on.
Right,
And secondly, the system
right,
is trying to make us do
right,
what they need to do, meaning it's your job to sort out whatever is wrong with the cadets and
right,
not the cadets themselves.
right.
Something like that I wrote, I think, I don't remember now.
And I completely agree with you because as grown-ups, a lot of times we tell children don't squeal on your brother
Yeah,
or don't squeal on your friend. So I'm
correct.
surprised that we took this blindly from the American system. And this reminds me of a movie called A Few Good Men, where and that's the amazing propaganda that they do with Hollywood, that they show that they're very principled. But I'm happy that you brought this up and said we shouldn't just blindly follow it, whether it's their constitution or any other note of ethics or code of conduct or code of honor for the cadets. So great speaking with you, General Ian Cardozo,
Thank
and
you.
pleasure having you on the InspireX conversation. I'm sure that people who are listening in and will listen in on Facebook today, tomorrow, day after, will get a lot of inspiration and a lot of learning from this particular session. Thank you so much. Personally, I mean, I get inspired by very few people, and you're one of them. And I think the first time I actually kind of sat down and met with you was when I came to discuss about what we could do to raise funds for the War Wounded Foundation.
That's right.
And I met with you and this gentleman who used to stay in Gurgaon at that time. And that's when I got your Paramir Chakra book, which was signed by you. It's still a prized possession at home.
Thank you.
And then I sent it to some friends who are in the movie industry and television industry. And I tried to get that serial going off, but unfortunately, the television industry likes more of Saas Bahu dramas than
Yeah.
dramas about 4Gs. But I think that will change with the OTT platforms now. And I'm still very keen on doing something for the war wounded, because I don't think we could really take off the way we had planned at that
Yeah.
time with the foundation. Is that foundation still existing, or is
Yeah,
it?
yeah, yeah. It is.
Okay. Okay. I forget the person who was heading that, the
Vijay Oberoi.
gentleman. Sorry?
Vijay Oberoi.
Vijay
General Vijay
Ob-
Oberoi.
and there was another gentleman. He was not a Bakshi. There was another gentleman who was the CEO. I remember. He was a civilian, not a.
Yeah, yeah. I've forgotten his name.
He used to
Yeah,
stay
yeah.
at the Heritage City in Gurgaon.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
I interacted more with him. But anyway, so we should get that going, and I'll speak to you bilaterally on that,
Okay. Thank
off the
you for
cuff.
all that you're doing for the army and the civil society. You're doing a great job. Thank you for all
Thank you,
that
sir.
you're
Thank you. Thank you. The little that we can do, and General Sunit Roderick, surely, I mean, just to kind of tell you this, we are doing a book, not the book that uh, Dr. Gaikwad is doing, but we are doing a book specifically on heroes, which is called Boys Who Change Themselves to Change the World. And this
Wow.
is pure, this is only Zeverite boys. And
Oh,
you're surely one of them. We are going to announce it sometime this week or next.
oh,
And people from all fields, not just from the army, but all Zeverite boys who've done something to change the world.
okay.
And you are in the first few that we've chosen,
Thank you
along
so
with a few others. We'll announce it soon. And thank you so much, and have a
Thank you.
good evening. And
Thank
and
you.
and and, and my regards to your minister at home.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll tell her.
Yeah, yeah.
God bless you, Jerry. God bless you.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much, General Cardozo.
Thank
Lovely,
you, Pitu.
absolute,
Thank you,
stunning
Pitu.
conversation we have had. Thank you
Thank
Thank you,
you.
so much.
Pitu. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you.
Hope we
Thank
meet
you.
soon. Yeah.
See you.
Bye.
Bye bye. Bye
See you soon. Yes.
Bye. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
bye bye.